So this time around,
I have heard stories out of the Chimaev camp that Chimaev is training so hard and putting it on guys, elite level guys, like nothing you've ever seen before. I have heard Khamzat Chimaev wants people to go so hard with him to try to beat him and submit him and do. He's paying him. He doesn't care. I got some guys in the gym, at my gym, that know people there. They're like, man, this dude, if somebody can submit him, there's like money. The Saints got in trouble for bounty gate. Khamzat's putting a bounty on himself to make guys give him all that they have. This dude, it's different.
You know, I know Imamov and Khamzat kind of don't want to fight each other. I'm not really excited for that fight. Not a lot of people are, but the Strickland fight, I believe I faced Strickland. In the striking, he definitely beats Khamzat for sure. Khamzat, a problem to deal with when he has you on your back. We've seen that many times. With Strickland, what he does brilliantly, I took Strickland down, I think 7 times. The way he gets up to hold him down is incredibly hard. At Extreme Couture, where they specialize in that cage wrestling, getting back to his feet. And Strickland's a lot stronger than people might think. I think he has a very good chance in that fight.
Sean needs no nickname. He gets called lots of names by a lot of people because he's a controversial guy. But I'll tell you what, the way that he beat Alexander Fluffy Hernandez, the way that he put a beat down on him respectfully to Fluffy, the way that he finished him with that knee to the midsection, and then, to be honest, how he handled himself on the microphone, right?
Fluffy's the definition of a man.
He deserves this shot. Of course, he lost the belt to Dricus du Plessis. How's he going to do against Khamzat Chimaev? I don't know about that. Khamzat Chimaev is ridiculous. What is he, 15-0? He's a force.
Dude, Strickland by round 5 TKO, bro. You know, the classic fucking UFC 308 when Chimaev was fighting Whitaker. The amount of people I saw. Dude, Bobby Knuckles by fucking round 5 TKO, dude. Dude, Bobby Knuckles is going to survive 4 rounds of Khamzat Chimaev and then TKO him in the 5th round. And they genuinely think Khamzat Chimaev is like Guram, dude. They talk about Khamzat's cardio like he's fucking Jose Medino, dude. I don't think he's going to drastically gas out fighting Sean Strickland. That's one reason why I'm picking him, despite the fact that I think Sean Strickland can get back up from the takedown.
The UFC just dropped one of the biggest fights the middleweight division has been waiting for. Sean Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev is now official. This matchup has been simmering for months, and the announcement alone has the entire MMA world buzzing with excitement. What makes this so electric isn't just another title eliminator being booked. These two have legitimate beef that's been building up. Plus, you've got this incredible style clash brewing. Strickland brings that razor-sharp technical striking, while Chimaev comes with that crushing grappling pressure that breaks people. The stylistic puzzle has fight analysts everywhere already diving deep into breakdowns and making their calls. Combat sports experts across the board are weighing in on how this war might unfold when these two finally settle it inside the cage.
That could be a problem, but realistically, do I think that Sean Strickland can stuff takedown after takedown and chain wrestle and stuff? I don't know. And if I was going to be honest, no, I don't think so. I think that Khamzat could do, maybe not exactly what he did to DDP, but he can eventually, if he, plays this smart and does the safe route, he can absolutely win this fight by like ground and pound decision, or not really ground and pound, but like top control, very light ground and pound decision. Or he could submit Sean Strickland. I could easily see him getting to the back and, with that freakish level strength he has and the squeeze, that could be part of it as well. So yeah, I am so in for this event though. That's so sick. May 9th, Strickland and Khamzat Chimaev is on the feet for a very, very long time. I can see Strickland. If it is on the ground for long periods or even early, I'm saying Chimaev probably washes him. But I mean, you see, as of right now,
Michael Bisping sees this as the ultimate proving ground for Strickland. The former champion acknowledges that Strickland completely earned his shot by dismantling Fluffy Hernandez with that beautiful body shot finish. Bisping was impressed by how Strickland maintained relentless pressure throughout that entire bout. But here's where things get serious. According to Bisping, Chimaev represents a completely different beast altogether. This undefeated monster has this terrifying ability to just smother opponents from the opening seconds and physically dominate them in ways most middleweights simply cannot handle. Even when Chimaev went to a decision with Dricus du Plessis, Bisping saw that as pure evidence of how Chimaev can control elite fighters for extended periods even when they're defending intelligently.
I am, of course, talking about the one and only Khamzat Chimaev taking on for the middleweight title Sean Strickland. That is correct. Sean needs no nickname. He gets called lots of names by a lot of people because he's a controversial guy. But I'll tell you what, the way that he beat Alexander Fluffy Hernandez, the way that he put a beat down on him respectfully to Fluffy, the way that he finished him with that knee to the midsection, and then, to be honest, how he handled himself on the microphone, right?
Fluffy's the definition of a man.
He deserves this shot. Of course, he lost the belt to Dricus du Plessis. How's he going to do against Khamzat Chimaev? I don't know about that. Khamzat Chimaev is ridiculous. What is he, 15-0? He's a force of nature. Of course, went to a decision with Dricus du Plessis, controlled him throughout the entirety of the fight. Yes, he was trying to finish it, but he didn't get it. But other than that, he does smoke most people.
The crux of this entire fight, according to Bisping, boils down to one massive question. Can Strickland handle the wrestling storm that's coming his way? This single factor might determine everything from bell to bell. Strickland's striking thrives on that constant jab rhythm and his trademark forward march. That style demolishes people when he controls distance on the feet, but Chimaev completely flips the script the moment he gets his hands on you and drags you into his nightmare world. Bisping frames it perfectly. Strickland needs to survive those grappling exchanges and stuff enough takedowns to actually turn this into a striking battle where his skills can take over. If Chimaev starts imposing that wrestling early and consistently, Bisping thinks that could completely destroy Strickland's entire approach and put him in serious danger.
Marvov, I know Marvov beat Kyle Bohayo, but when you look at it, Strickland's already beaten Marvov. Yeah, it was a while ago, but a win's a win. And he just put a beat down and a stoppage on Fluffy, right? Marvov beat Kyle Bohayo by decision, and we all know this sport's about what have you done for me lately. There is a backstory between Chimaev and Sean Strickland. They have trained with one another. There's a bit of shit talk. There's going to be bad blood. We know that the lead up to the fight will be goddamn insane, right? Chimaev doesn't hold back. He talks shit, but in a kind of reserved way, but like he truly believes in himself. And Sean Strickland is just going to go on the full offensive. We know that. We know that. He's going to be talking some crazy shit. Dana even joked about it on the little show that we did there. He said they're going to need extra security for that fight, during the fight week, leading up to the fight, after the fight, in the fight. It's going to be a mad one because Sean Strickland doesn't hold back. And you know what? Even if you don't like the shit that he says, you have to appreciate the entertainment value that he brings to the table. And then on top of that, the performances inside the octagon. That one against Fluffy, that was a different...
Bedtime MMA brings a different perspective to the grappling exchanges and those pivotal moments. In his view, Strickland probably does get taken down at some point during this fight. That's just reality when facing someone with Chimaev's wrestling pedigree. But here's the twist in his analysis. The real battle isn't whether the takedown happens, but what unfolds afterward, once Chimaev gets him down. He highlights something many fans overlook. Strickland is genuinely excellent at fighting back to his feet after getting taken down. Strickland breaks grips effectively, fights hands intelligently, and possesses this ability to scramble back up without exposing his back or creating worse positions. Because of these defensive skills, Bedtime MMA doesn't expect Khamzat to completely steamroll Strickland on the ground like he's done to so many others throughout his career. Instead, he envisions repeated sequences where Khamzat secures takedowns and gains initial control. Then Strickland, through technique and pure determination, gradually works his way back upright and resets everything.
But I just feel like it's basically you have to accept, okay, Sean Strickland is going to get taken down. But a reason why I think he's going to do well in this matchup despite that is because he's not a guy I worry about if he gets taken down. We've seen in the DDP fight that Sean Strickland has a very good and underrated ability to get back up from takedowns, which a lot of other middleweights don't, right? because Khamzat doesn't have to get perfect setups to take you down. He has that BJJ threat that allows him to rack up control time, but Sean Strickland is very high level in his ability to break the grips, to fight the hands, to get back up to his knees and to his feet without giving up his back too much, without putting his neck out there and getting submitted, because that's the real danger with a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, right? You fucking wrestle up the wrong way, you're ending up on BJJ Fanatics, dog. You wrestle up the wrong way, you put your head out there. What's up, guys? Today we're gonna break down how Khamzat Chimaev got the finish. That you're going on IG Reels, bro. You know what I mean, dude? Jack Slack's making a 30-minute video about how you got rear naked choked, dog. But Khamzat Chimaev is so good at just controlling people because of that threat. And that's what makes this difficult, is Sean Strickland, if you give up your back as him, you're gonna spend all round on bottom getting beat up, threatened with subs, and you're gonna lose that.
Bedtime MMA raises another crucial factor about fight pace and how that might impact Khamzat's gas tank as rounds pile up. He thinks Strickland's proven ability to consistently get back up and escape bad spots could force Khamzat into shooting multiple takedowns per round. Those repeated attempts, especially when they don't lead to extended control time, can steadily drain energy from even the most conditioned athletes. However, he doesn't buy into the narrative that Khamzat will completely fade in later rounds like some people are predicting. Even if Strickland makes the grappling more challenging than Chimaev is accustomed to and forces him to work harder than usual, Bedtime MMA still expects Khamzat to maintain decent pace and keep pushing that wrestling pressure from the opening round straight through to the final horn.
Khamzat Chimaev against DDP, he would lose him on the initial shot, and then he'd rush him again and take him to the cage where he's very hard to stop, or shoot again lower on the legs and collect the legs and then build up to a body lock and then take him down again. He has the cardio and he has the skill set to do that again and again and again. At least 2 or 3 times around, Khamzat Chimaev can fail an initial takedown or lose you on a takedown and then reshoot. So that, I think, can be a path to victory, but if he has to do it more than like 2 times in a round, I think we will start to see Khamzat Chimaev slow down. And Strickland has the skill set to continuously get back up, get back up, get back up. So I think in that aspect of just dominating Strickland in the grappling, holding him down or submitting him or beating him up, similar to the way that he kind of dominated DDP in the grappling, I don't think that's going to happen to Sean Strickland. I think the first round obviously is always going to be a wash for Khamzat Chimaev. He's going to take you down, he's going to get on your back, and he's going to just hold you there and beat you up a little bit.
James Lynch examined why the UFC chose to book this specific fight from a business standpoint. From a pure rankings perspective, there were definitely some eyebrows raised. He explained that while some in the MMA community felt Nassourdine Imavov deserved the title shot more based strictly on recent performances and ranking position, the UFC clearly considered the bigger promotional picture when making this matchmaking choice. Lynch noted that Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland have genuine history from past training sessions, plus there's been constant back and forth trash talk across social media and interviews. This existing tension and backstory means the buildup practically markets itself without the UFC needing to manufacture drama or create artificial storylines. The promotion understands fans are legitimately invested in watching these two resolve their differences inside the octagon.
And listen, I do feel bad for Nassourdine Imavov not getting this title shot. He's absolutely done everything he needs to do to get a title shot. But like I mentioned in that video, one of the things the UFC has struggled to do when it comes to making fights is having real grudge matches, people that don't like each other, and adding some hype to a fight. And I think this is the makings of one of the best grudge match fights for a title that we've seen in a long time, and that is obviously Khamzat Chimaev and Sean Strickland fighting each other. They don't like each other. There's some history. They've trained together too. Sean Strickland, very outlandish on the mic. Khamzat Chimaev, not afraid to talk some trash either. We've seen some of the back and forth on social media. I mean, let's just talk about the context of this, and that is that these two don't like each other. They're two high-level fighters. It's going to be a very interesting build-up to this fight, and you've already got the UFC kind of stacking the deck a bit with the White House.
He also, when Lynch dissected the actual stylistic matchup and examined the numbers behind both fighters, he really got into the nitty-gritty details of what each brings to the table. He discussed Strickland's approach on the feet extensively, particularly emphasizing his incredible activity level with strikes and how he constantly unleashes huge volume with that signature jab, keeping opponents at range and dictating tempo. At the same time, Lynch made sure to highlight that Strickland absorbs more punishment than people realize, and his takedown defense faces its ultimate examination in this particular bout. Lynch's concerns focused on Chimaev's wrestling pedigree and his ability to dominate once he secures top position, especially pointing to how Chimaev repeatedly grounded Dricus du Plessis, who is himself an incredibly talented and physically powerful middleweight with solid defensive grappling skills.
You know, Sean Strickland, let's look at his stats, which I think are interesting to note here. Sean Strickland, lots of striking output, 6.04. His striking accuracy is at 42%, which is a bit lower. His striking defense is at 60%, so he does get hit a little bit, but not that much. 60% is actually fairly high. His takedown defense is at 76%. That is certainly going to get tested in this fight against Khamzat Chimaev, who we saw in his last fight just take down Dricus du Plessis at will. Du Plessis looked like, he got dominated. I mean, there's no other way to put it, right? If we take a closer look at Chimaev's stats, kind of have a look here as well. Chimaev, his takedown defense is 85, although we won't see a takedown there. His striking defense is at 43%, so that actually isn't that high. He does get hit a bit. So that's where things get interesting if it does stay standing. Now, I would argue Chimaev's got more power than Strickland as far as the stand-up goes. We've seen Chimaev get like some knockout wins. It has.
When Lynch finally made his actual prediction for the bout, he leaned clearly toward Chimaev securing victory, with his reasoning primarily centered on that relentless pressure and elite wrestling that Chimaev consistently delivers in every single appearance. Lynch acknowledged that Strickland has definitely proven his capacity for massive upsets that shock everyone, like when he stunned the entire world by defeating Israel Adesanya to capture the middleweight crown. But even considering that incredible upset victory, Lynch still felt Chimaev presents a more problematic stylistic puzzle for Strickland compared to what Adesanya brought to the table. Lynch explained his logic this way. Chimaev's capacity to continuously force takedown attempts and maintain dominant positions round after round could gradually break Strickland down both physically and mentally across 25 minutes, ultimately resulting in either a finish or a convincing decision victory for Chimaev.
As far as how I think the fight plays out, I do think Chimaev wins. I think Strickland, I mean, he had lightning in a bottle against Israel Adesanya. You know, he's capable of pulling off an upset. We've seen that before. I just think Chimaev is, I don't know if anyone beats Chimaev right now. And that includes Imavov. I don't think Imavov is going to beat Chimaev either. I think Chimaev is just going to continue to get those takedowns, going to continue to put pressure on. I wonder, though, can he finish Strickland? I'm not sure. He wasn't able to finish DDP. And again, I thought DDP and Strickland were kind of neck and neck when you saw those matchups. I know every fight's different as far as the styles go, but I think Chimaev might end up winning a decision here. I don't think it's going to be a quick finish. I know he's threatened Strickland and saying, you know, like, it's going to be a quick win and all that stuff. I don't think that's going to happen here.
Chael Sonnen initially focused on the betting odds, which immediately caught his attention as noteworthy. He observed that Khamzat Chimaev opened as an enormous favorite with odds around 6-1, which represents an exceptionally wide spread for what should be a championship caliber fight between elite competitors. Sonnen compared these numbers to other major high-profile bouts in recent UFC history, where even with a clear favorite, the odds remained much tighter than what we're witnessing here. This massive gap made him genuinely wonder whether the betting public and casual observers were seriously undervaluing Sean Strickland and underestimating his capabilities in this matchup. Sonnen's point about the odds was that numbers like 6-1 typically indicate not just a victory, but a completely one-sided beatdown where the favorite is genuinely expected to finish before reaching the scorecards. When Sonnen analyzed the matchup from technical and strategic angles, he concluded the entire fight revolves around one core element. Can Sean Strickland successfully defend or at minimum neutralize Khamzat Chimaev's wrestling assault? If those takedowns start connecting regularly and Chimaev can pin Strickland down, the fight typically becomes completely lopsided because Chimaev is just extraordinarily powerful and controlling in those positions once he establishes dominance. Sonnen genuinely thinks Strickland might actually be among the few fighters at middleweight who could potentially make that grappling aspect challenging for Chimaev, primarily due to Strickland's solid stance, excellent balance, and high-level defensive awareness developed through years of training and competition. Nevertheless, even with those advantages favoring Strickland, Sonnen ultimately favored Chimaev as the probable winner when everything gets weighed, with his reasoning mainly stemming from the constant relentless pressure and elite grappling control that Chimaev delivers in every single bout. Wade Plemons views this entire contest through the prism of grappling differential between these fighters, since in his assessment, that's where victory or defeat will truly be determined. His central argument throughout the breakdown is that Khamzat's wrestling prowess and ground control abilities represent by far the most significant factors in determining how this matchup unfolds. In the overwhelming majority of Khamzat's previous contests, once he successfully brings the fight to the mat and establishes position, he rapidly assumes complete control and keeps opponents trapped there, unable to escape or generate meaningful offense. Due to this consistent trend throughout his career, Wade explains the standard expectation entering this fight should be Khamzat attempting to initiate wrestling exchanges early and repeatedly throughout. If this strategy succeeds and develops as Chimaev envisions, Strickland could realistically find himself spending extended uncomfortable periods defending on his back rather than executing what he excels at, which is striking while standing. Wade suggests this type of contest could easily become a scenario where Khamzat maintains positional control for substantial stretches, landing small but accumulating strikes that score points and inflict damage, while possibly pursuing submission opportunities if openings arise. Considering all these combined factors, Wade definitely favors Khamzat holding the distinct advantage in this matchup. He reasons that successfully defending one or perhaps two takedown attempts during a fight presents an entirely different challenge from defending constant repeated attempts across a full 5-round championship contest. Throughout 25 minutes, he believes Khamzat will probably discover at least one opening, likely multiple opportunities where he succeeds in grounding the fight and imposing his dominance. Once this occurs and Chimaev establishes control, Wade genuinely thinks the pure physical strength and relentless grappling pressure that Khamzat provides could completely commandeer the fight and shift all momentum decisively toward his side. From Wade's viewpoint based on his analysis, this fight's result primarily hinges on where most of the action occurs. If it remains standing, Strickland possesses genuine opportunity, but if it transitions to the ground repeatedly, Wade's final assessment boils down to one straightforward yet critical question that determines everything. Can Strickland maintain the fight on the feet long enough for his striking style to function and accumulate momentum through the rounds? Or will Khamzat successfully drag it to the mat where he typically dominates opponents and imposes his suffocating approach? If Strickland can successfully counter early takedown attempts and maintain steady, consistent pace while standing, forcing Chimaev to engage in striking for prolonged periods, the contest could begin looking dramatically different as time progresses and fatigue enters the equation. Conversely, if Khamzat manages to secure ground control even just several times throughout the fight and pins Strickland there for significant stretches, that could easily prove sufficient to swing the entire bout decisively toward his favor and result in either a finish or a clear decision. When you analyze everything, this matchup truly depends on that one critical battle between Strickland's takedown defense and Chimaev's relentless wrestling pressure. Drop your thoughts in the comments about who takes this incredible stylistic clash and exactly how you see it all playing out.